Hello friends. Today we'll try to discuss about ECMA standard. You know, there may be various terminology, the name, it feels very confusing. I'll try to declutter today. You must be heard about ES5, ES6, sometime ECMAScript 5, ECMAScript 6, and recently ES 2015 and ES Next. There are so many, sometimes ECMA 262. It is a bit confusing. What exactly all this different nomenclature, convention, very confusing to understand. So before diving into that detail, let me explain about you the why we are interested about this ECMAScript. So a gentleman known as Brendan Eads of Netscape, he initially created the JavaScript, you know, initially around 95 or 96, somewhere around that time. So he created JavaScript for the Netscape browser and slowly it got popularity. And he given various name. For example, initially he started with Mocha, then LiveScript, then finally JavaScript because at that time Java was popular. So he thought he will give a JavaScript name. It will make JavaScript also popular because there is no relationship between those two. But that is how interestingly it evolved. But there are lots of legal issues and other things. They sue each other, Oracle and other thing, but that is a different story altogether. But basically, he created the JavaScript, and it became very popular. So at that time, it was meant to be run in Netscape. Then after that, the Windows also started adapting it and it started introducing Internet Explorer, and there are some other browser also come into the market. So everybody want to implement in their own way, because if you don't define a set of rules, then different browser would follow different syntax. That is the reason it is still not very standardized. That is the reason we see lots of issues in terms of Internet Explorer and other browser, right? So initially, from during that time, they thought to create a standard. So that the standard name is ECMAScript. It is a specification. It's very simple. It's a set of documentation. Like ECMAScript means it is a PDF file or some kind of Word document. Bunch of people like developer, few companies, few lectures come into board and started writing a specs for it. What if conditions should do, what for conditions should do, and so on. So they define the rules and then they ask the browser to comply to that. Still, the browser go ahead and implement it in different manner. That is the reason Internet Explorer created its own rules, and there are lots of issues later. But slowly nowadays, because of Chrome browser, Mozilla Firefox, they stick to the standard very appropriately. That is the reason we don't face lots of issues nowadays. But if you understand properly, the ECMAScript is the core language, the core fundamental language, where it talks about if condition, else condition, function, object, basic about what is the programming language is all about. But JavaScript is a superset of it. If you tell about JavaScript, means not only it contains the ECMAScript concepts or the programming language concept, but also it contains that more information related to browser, how the browser will behave, how the DOM object, what is Windows object. So if you see like how the event handling, if you click on a button, how the behavior will happen. So all those information related to the browser is different in the JavaScript. Nowadays in the server side, we have a Node.js also. It's a different set of rules. For example, how to talk to a database, how to talk to a file system, that is missing in the browser. So it creates its own nomenclature, how to create the module, right? It grown by itself. But the standard what we are talking about, we are more interested into ECMAScript. And there is one more terminology you may heard about it, that is TC39. So what is this TC39 is all about? This TC39 is a group, it is a company like IBM or Oracle or some kind of maybe lots of different organization or committee. So I don't know the full form of TC or something in that fashion, some type committee or something like that. So TC39 is a committee. It is a bunch of developer companies who are interested to contribute or validating, testing, reviewing, reading, and creating this ECMAScript. Those people are known as TC39. So let me show you a little bit quickly before we dive into more detail. There is a link. I don't think you need to go into read it elaborately, because this document are not for meant to the developer. The reason I'm showing you should have a basic understanding what you are talking about. At least you should know that what it is all about. I'm not suggesting you to read through it, but if you do that, you'll be genius. You'll be superhuman. But this language specification are not meant to be read by developer or the normal web developer like we are. It is meant to be read by the browser creator, like whoever creating Google Chrome, whoever creating Safari, whoever come to creating the Mozilla Firefox. They need to read it line by line, and they have to exactly write their code, because it is a design document for them, you can say. Like it is a specification for them. Like they have to align each whatever is mentioned in the document. They have to do exactly the same thing in the browser, right? So if you see that this is ECMA 2060 and it is ECMAScript 2020 now, and 11th edition. I'll just talk to recently now, and it is launched and published in June 20. If you click this PDF, then you know that all this specification big document, I don't know how many pages it is. I never opened it, to be honest. I think a couple of times, but my net is a bit slow. So this is like, and also if you see this thing, 262 is the document name. This PDF name is, see if you can see ECMA 262 PDF name, and they have various edition. Like edition means, first edition, then after 2-3 years they publish another edition, second edition, and now they have started publishing 2020, 11th edition, So I think our PDF is open. See, this is the standard how it looks like. So everything like number, like integer, all minute to minute detail. If you have really doubt about understanding any functionality, if you go through this information, you'll be 100% get wonderful explanation. For example, see what is the optional value, right? All the information. The browser makers will implement exactly what is specified over here. But about the TC9, they have also a website, TC39 ES. So what do? They develop this, we develop JavaScript. Formally means ECMAScript, the formal language. JavaScript is more popular language. And they are contributing in the GitHub, GitHub they have organization. You can also go through their specification and go through this. It is more about documentary. It is not about the implementation. It is about writing the stuffs. So ECMA International also is the organization, like ECMAScript is the specification name, ECMA International is the organization. It may be, most probably, I think it is a non-NGO kind of thing. It doesn't work for profit, but they got some funding from different companies like Google, Facebook, Microsoft, and so on. If you see here, it is the combination of developers, implementers, academic, and many more who want to contribute to it. Okay. So now hope you understood a little bit about this TC39. It is a committee, bunch of group of people. So they have their own website. So ECMAScript is a standard where we define about the core language, and where actually it is a document. I shown you the document, PDF document. So all the browser will follow the documents. In JavaScript, it is a superset of it. It talks about DOM manipulation, and in case of Node.js, it talks about database interaction, asynchronous behavior, some other more superset of it. Now coming to our confusion part. So hope you understood this ECMA 262 is now ECMA 262 is clear. It is a PDF document name. It is a document name. The PDF, like you have Word document, you told that hello world, or you designed specs something, and you give your document name, right? Whatever the file you create. So they given by ECMA 262. I don't know they have 2, 3, 4, or 5 or some other number or not. Those any other number is not relevant. They have only one document name, 262, right? And they have some lots of edition, like 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., etc. The first edition they launched in 97. Second edition they launched in 98. And third edition they 99. And they sleep a very long break. They slept for ages, you know. They had, after 99, they forget about all this JavaScript crap. They thought that JavaScript is already done. We don't need JavaScript at the time. But around 2005, when Google starts, building its Google Gmail and Google Maps, and at that time the people are started doing a lot of creative stuff because the net also gaining more popular. So Ajax, Ajax is the big buzzword at that time. So lots of people started doing lots of interesting thing into the JavaScript. At that time, Flash also was popular. A lot of people, video player, and also started coming up with the video. So at that time, the people, the committee or the ECMA team, the thing that there is a significant deficiency or the gap inside this JavaScript. So they started deciding that we will create a big spec, then it should compete with the Ruby or Python or Java. So because lots of people are using it, and it will make it wonderful. Then in the fourth edition, they created ECMAScript 4 or ES4. They added a bunch of stuff, some thousands of stuff. They created a lengthy specification. Then what happened? The different companies like Google, Facebook, and not Facebook at the time, it was not there. Google or Microsoft and some other who are more interested into browser development, they started complaining because your specs is so huge, we can't implement it. It is very tough to implement it. Then they started creating another parallel specification known as ECMAScript 3.1, because in 90, if you see, the last version is edition 3. It was launched in 99. After that, they forgotten. And around this time, like 2005, they started working with 3.1 because Google and Microsoft and other companies are together. They thought we don't want to go with your committee, but we want to create our own because yours is very huge. We can't implement all this thing, Then what happened? The founder, Brendan Eads, came into the picture, and then they started, negotiation between those two teams. And they both agreed after lots of distribution and fight, and, they thought to create the script. They abandoned that. First thing, what they did, they abandoned this ECMAScript 4. So it was never a published version. So nobody implemented on it, right? Then after 2009, 3.1, they merged into 5. They improved it also, and they consolidated it and launched as ECMAScript 5, which is popularly known as ES5 as well. And it is launched in 2009 after 10-year gap. 10 year. Last 3 was launched in December 99, and fifth one launched in December 2009. And after that, the 5.1 is a small one, like 2011 they published. And ECMAScript ES6 is also quite popular. The biggest jump after 5-6 years, June 2015, 5-year break. So that is quite popular. So once you want to learn it, this is what you should learn, like ECMAScript 5, ES6, like spread operator, destructuring syntax, and whatnot. So all are interesting stuff here. And nowadays, because it lead to confusion, so they are abandoning this name. So few developers say ES6, ECMAScript, you still see this name, but they started to not use this name anymore. They started to use ECMAScript 2015 by the age when they are launching. They, instead of launching in after 5-year, 10-year gap, they started to incrementally launch it, because the Chrome browser becomes so effective or implement, because the browser is also not, earlier the browser Internet Explorer shipped by the Microsoft after a couple of years, but now Chrome browser, any simple feature they implement, they immediately release it. So similarly, like ECMAScript also, each year they're publishing the document around June time. So 2015, 16, 17, 18, now 2020. So if you can see 2020 also, it published now. Here you can see like optional chaining and those kind of features, right? And the future version, like experimentation version, is known as ES Next. So if you want to use it, Now we use this ES 2015 because it is make very simple to correlate with the year they publish. But ECMAScript 6 is the launched in the 2015. You know, that is quite in interview and other people they will ask, do you know ES 6? Do you know ECMAScript 6? Then you can say that yes, it is edition 6. Because that's where the 6 came from, which is launched in 2015. It is named as ECMAScript 2015 as well. So, you know, and yeah, that's pretty much about it. Hope you learned something today. Have a good day ahead. Bye-bye.